Hello, party people. It is I, the typing piper, the ramen Ronin, the man with many names. Let's get to it. So earlier this week, I read on the internet and heard it from several people in my area who were ecstatic about this news. Uh, if you are in, if you are in Ukraine and you capture a Russian tank, you don't have to hand it over to the Ukrainian military, their army, or the government. You get to keep it. And yeah, I call BS on this garbage. For one, the people who are bringing this up, they're excited to the point where I could tell that they're wanting to touch themselves while they're like, "Did you hear? They get to keep the tanks. They get to keep them." And meanwhile, I'm standing there like, "Yeah, well, it's not the first time, or it's not going to be the last time that the Ukrainian government, or any government for that matter, lied to the people, right?" I mean, you do realize that at some point when the war is over, they're not going to be able to just drive that tank home, let it sit in their yard, and they're like, "Yes, I got this during the war. It is mine." Yeah. And no. Like, they're gonna have to hand these things over. It's temporary. I mean, it's kind of like the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed, and yet we have to get permits and go before boards and do all kinds of stupid stuff and infringing on us. So overall, while it sounds like a very exciting prospect, a country that says you're allowed to own a tank, technically in the United States, you can own a tank. Um, Not lying here. Arnold Schwarzenegger owns a tank. Yes, granted, he's worth like $800 million last time I checked, but the dude not only owns a tank, he had the one that he drove in the Austrian military tracked down um, using the serial number. I think he found it in a scrapyard, and then he had it shipped over here, completely refurbished and rebuilt. And you can find videos of him driving it around on YouTube. So, granted, I don't think the cannon itself works, and it's not going to have any machine guns on it, but he gets to drive a tank. There's a lot of things that we're hearing about this war that is designed to get people excited about it, and that's the thing that we should be worried about the most. Is the idea that, granted, they're not playing the old games of like weapons of mass destruction, Saddam, Al Qaeda. No, this is very handing out glorious tales, encouraging people to go fight on behalf of the Ukrainians. Um, some idiot, Lindsey Graham, was promoting assassination. Yeah, because that's smart. You do realize Putin has their nuclear system set at like the highest alert that they can be, right? Right? like, yeah. If there's a Brutus out there, yeah. So there's several things we could be doing right now. We could be upping our oil production. Apparently, Biden is talking to a couple of different countries to try to balance things out, but it's not gonna do nearly as much as if we were just making our own. I mean, even Elon Musk, the guy who's like, "Yeah, we're too stupid to live on Earth. We have to move to Mars." That guy is even saying, uh, "Start up the pipelines again." Get rid of those leases. Like, you had this thing going beforehand and then you stopped it. It's not like Putin shut off our oil. Pretty sure I can figure out within a split second who did decided to do that. And then you have uh, Takai, George Takai. Here's a guy I want to like considering his history, but he's not living up to the history that he presents. Here's a guy that should be thinking one way, and instead, because he has a shit ton of money, works in Hollywood, and is super privileged, and doesn't really have to think for a living, uh, decided that the American people, if they have to pay more in order to punish Putin, then that's what they should do. And I'm thinking, yeah, coming from a guy who's worth several $1,000,000 and it's not going to affect, you have no kids, you're married to a dude, you have your house, it's probably paid off, um, zero responsibilities, and like what do you have to worry about if gas goes up to $4 or $5 a gallon, and you can't afford to buy food for a household of five, and you're not getting paid anymore because companies can't afford to because their costs have gone up in order to keep production going. Yada yada yada. It does not affect George Takei. I really wish members of Hollywood would just shut up. Just if you cannot relate to the American public, just go to your mansion, jump in your swimming pool, preferably when drunk or high, and just float around for a bit. Because overall, you're just going to piss people off, and nobody really wants to hear from you. I'm sorry, but Leonardo DiCaprio, yeah, I need to fly to Europe because, they need to address climate change. I need to fly in my private jet. And me and Al Gore are going to take separate private jets because that's how cool we are to fight climate change. I'm just tired of these people. So, the only other thing I've noticed lately is that there's a lot of footage coming out of like Russian jets being shot down and people being taken prisoner and all these stories, and I'm not even burned out. I just have zero trust in anything that is being presented to me because I've spent so many years listening to the media just flat out lying to me about everything. They could tell me a cool story. I got kind of excited about the Ghost of Kiev, realizing that it was probably most likely almost 100% sure that it was fake. But it was a cool story. You know, the first fighter ace of the 21st century. Awesome, cool, go kick some butt. But no, it's not true. Snake Island turned out to not be true. Russia released footage of the people from Snake Island being captured and taken prisoner. So they're still alive. I'm sure they did tell the crew of that ship to go F themselves. But yeah, that didn't turn out too well for them. It wasn't like Wake Island or anything like that where they put up a fight for a couple days before they were overtaken. Nope, that's not how it went down. Yeah, and then there's what was his name? It was like the Reaper of Kiev or something like that. The Reaper of Ukraine, some soldier that had like over 20 kills or something, and they just kept showing some dude that had like a face mask on and could have been any person in a uniform. Yeah. Cool stories. Keep it up, publish a series on Amazon. I don't know what the hell you want to do with it, but if it gets them riled up to go kick some Russian butt, that's fine. But could we just figure out like what the hell is actually going on before we start spreading garbage online? And speaking of garbage, there is one thing I'd like to point out before I close this video session of ours. I received notification it's Instagram, so it's not a strike. That's YouTube. I was basically informed that I could not share branded content and get paid for it on Instagram, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Because I shared a photo of Steven Seagal. If it has Steven Seagal in it, 99.9% sure it's a joke. Because Steven Seagal is a walking joke. He's not Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris, like all of those jokes you hear about Chuck Norris, no, that's actually nonfiction. I'm pretty sure a lot of that is on his Wikipedia page. When he was bitten by a cobra, it was 3 days of agonizing pain before the cobra died. He's so fast that he can kick himself in the back of the head. So, yes, Steven Seagal, and this news article was he was spotted with Russian special forces invading Ukraine, and of course, right away everybody's like, haha, it's funny. No, it's not the Babylon Bee or the Onion, but it's still funny. And, people were sharing it because it's a Steven Seagal joke. Because the man is a walking joke. He thinks he should be doing this stuff because he played it in a movie. But in reality, we all know that the dude... Yeah. So anyways, I shared this. I even wrote in the comment underneath, fake news, but it's too funny not to share. That's actually what I wrote word for word. And then I get this notification that I was spreading fake news and that people weren't going to be allowed to see it and I should just delete it. And how dare you? You can't have branded materials on Instagram now. You will not get paid. Last time I checked, you weren't paying me for anything. I make content for people who follow me, things I want to share with people who follow me, and that's it. I don't get paid for it. So, nice threat. I don't get it. But in the meantime, while that's happening, Ghost of Kiev is allowed to be shared. Snake Island's allowed to be shared. The Ukrainian Reaper is allowed to be shared. All the stories that came out and were in less than a day debunked as being false are allowed to be shared without repercussions because it's about the morale of the situation and lifting up the Ukrainian people regardless of whether it's a lie. Which is the exact opposite of what we've heard the last 2 years when it comes to certain other things that we've been dealing with for the last 2 years. Unless it comes from an official source, you're not allowed to say it regardless of whether it's true or not. Now they're saying that you can spread lies as long as it's for a good cause. I can't keep up with these people. You ever been in a relationship with someone where they're constantly getting onto your phone to see if you're cheating, but you're not allowed to look at their phone for any reason whatsoever? Welcome to life in the United States and our media, because that's exactly what's going on. It's basically an abusive relationship that you need to get the hell out of. So, I, for one, don't watch or listen to CNN. I couldn't give a shit about Fox, MSNBC. Do they even exist anymore? Because I don't know anybody who watches that channel. The point is, we as a society need to stop listening to and watching these asshats who keep telling us that they're the authority when they grant themselves the privilege to lie to people while calling out people for lying who are actually telling the truth. And that is a huge problem, especially when it comes to war and propaganda. And to close this out, I'd like to remind people that due to the NDAA that Obama signed before he left office, that it is now legal for the federal government to have propaganda campaigns directed at the American public, where that was illegal beforehand. So that's a thing. It's stuff like that that gets signed in without a law being passed, any authorization from Congress. This is a piece of paper that is supposed to direct funds for the Pentagon, and they slip things like these laws in that really go unaddressed. And when it is pointed out, you have comments from people like Obama who say, yes, I'm signing this, but I assure you that this does not mean it will ever be used. Or at least not while I'm president. You'll have to wait for Biden to implement this. So, that's where we're at. Keep on typing.